heard many managers say this, executives. Situational leadership, it changed the way I manage people.
I think it's the most practical model you'd ever get for leadership. It's good for first-line supervisor, it's good for a CEO, it's good for everyone to know and understand.
You were recently identified by Thinker 50 as the #1 thinker in the world, correct? And you're also the #1 coach?
Right.
So as we were talking about before the interview started, you've got nowhere to go but down. What do you...
I may be entered in the intergalactic contest.
First off, congratulations,
Thank you.
But secondly, with that territory, just like anybody else that's a big winner, it's how do you repeat it? How do you keep it going? What do you do? What are you seeing in organizations and sort of what's on your horizon to kind of maintain that status, for lack of a better term, or that tremendous influence potential?
One of the things that I'm working on is I've been working with my friend Alan Mulally, who I consider to be just a spectacularly great leader. My friend Alan was ranked the #3 greatest leader in the world, behind the Pope and Angela Merkel, CEO of the Year in the United States. And I've had the privilege of observing the way he has led people. So he goes into Ford, the stock is valued at $1, and he leaves it's $18.40. I mean, an unbelievable turnaround. And he didn't take any of the U.S. government taxpayer money. So just an amazing guy, and a 97% approval rating from all employees in a union company. Think about that. A CEO in a union company with a 97% approval rating from the employees, unheard of. Most respected leader of a big company in the world. Just an amazing, amazing man. And Alan is a believer of situational leadership. Let me tell you how he applies it in a different way. Because most of the people you've been training are first-line, second-line managers. And back to expertise, they have the expertise to do the job, and they are the provider of the leadership. Alan goes in at Ford, he really doesn't have expertise. Now, he has a lot of expertise as a leader, and he has an engineer, he's a smart guy, but he had no experience in an auto company at all. And he was basically told, you have no chance of success. Well, no, that was wrong. Everybody that bet on his chance of success made a whole lot of money, right? He was a fantastic leader. He could lead any organization, though.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what he's taught me that is so brilliant and how it connects to situational leadership. Alan's view is as you go higher and higher and higher up the chain, you are more of a facilitator, a person who helps people get the leadership they need, not the provider of the leadership. So what he does that's brilliant is he really encourages people to be honest about their readiness level. Now, you're an expert on situational leadership. Readiness level, the key driver of leadership style. So he goes to Ford, and their top 16 people, 5 priorities each, red, yellow, green. Green is, I'm on plan. Now, yellow is, well, I'm not on plan, but I have a strategy to get there. And red is, I'm not on plan, I have no strategy. So the first meeting, everyone's green. So the company's losing like $17 billion, and everyone's on plan. So Alan goes, well, we're losing $17 billion, and everyone's on plan. I guess our plan must be to lose at least $17 billion, because we're right there. we're on plan. He said,
onward, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it again. So finally Mark Fields stands up and says, red. So Alan starts applauding. He says, thank you for having the courage and the transparency to tell the truth. Good. He said, you're not on plan. You know how to get there. And then he said, this is something I've never heard a CEO say, it's okay. You're not on plan, you don't know how to get there, it's okay. Then he said, I'm the CEO of the Ford Motor Company. I know a lot less than you do. And that's okay too. How many CEOs you ever heard say that before?
Yeah.
Not too many.
Yeah.
That's not common CEO talk, right? I haven't heard a lot of them say, you don't know anything and it's okay, and I know less than you and that's okay. No, I'm not frequently hearing that one, no. That doesn't pop to mind very often, right? Then he said, we've got hundreds of thousands of people that work here. We can hire outside people if we need to. Let's just get the help we need. Then Alan said, within 10 minutes, the problem was largely solved. Somebody said, well, I know somebody, or I know somebody, or I know somebody. Back to situational leadership. See, Mark Fields was lost.
Yeah.
He needed help. Well, what happened is they found the help they need, not from higher ups, but from people at different levels in the company who actually had the expertise to help him. Mm-hmm. So from a situational leadership point of view, he wanted to learn, he needed to learn. Alan, as the CEO, couldn't use a style to and teach him how to do it because he didn't know himself. Mm-hmm. What he did, though, as a facilitator, is he facilitated a process so that Mark Fields got the leadership he needed, but it didn't have to come from his boss.
Right.
So the other thing Alan did, which is brilliant, is the huge majority of leaders in this will immediately start asking questions. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? One of the worst things you can do. One of my coaching clients who retired a few years ago was J.P. Garnier. He was CEO of GlaxoSmithKline.
Oh, yeah.
I asked J.P., what'd you learn about leadership as CEO of GlaxoSmithKline? He said, I learned a hard lesson. He said, my suggestions become orders. And I said, if they're smart, they're orders, and if they're stupid, they're orders, and if I want them to be orders, they're orders. If I don't want them to be orders, they're orders anyway. He said, my suggestions become orders. Well, I said, what'd you learn from me when I was your coach that helped you the most? He said, before I speak, breathe and ask myself, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Now let's go back to Alan and Mark Fields.
Yeah.
Mark Fields comes up and says, red. If Alan then would say, have you thought of this? There's a very high probability, you know what would have happened? Aye, aye, sir.
Great idea.
Great idea. The worst of all worlds. One, Alan knows a whole lot less than Mark Fields in this dialogue. So the idea is probably a bad idea. Two, Mark has no ownership. Mm-hmm. It's Alan's idea. He's the boss. He's the CEO. The CEO told me to do this, right? He's got no ownership. Well, the incredible discipline that Alan has, which I find amazing, and humility, is fight the urge to give people ideas if you don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Don't pretend to be an expert if you're not. And it's perfectly okay to say, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's okay. And in fact, it's not only okay, it's much better. Because if you start throwing out ideas, then what happens is people just run around and do these things, and oftentimes they make no sense. And back to J.P. Garney's comment, suggestions become orders.
Yeah. It's interesting because we at the Center for Leadership Studies, we have a model, we build programs around that model worldwide. Mm-hmm. It's a trademark, copyrighted framework. Mm-hmm. And we protect that. It sounds to me, though, and I've heard many managers say this, executives, situational leadership, it changed the way I manage people.
Yes.
I went through the program, and that altered, as we talk about leadership's an attempt to influence, it helped me parent.
Right.
It helped me be, coaching. It helped me in all different kinds of things. But it almost sounds like what Alan did years later, after he had been through a program, is he was still applying the principles of. It's just kind of like, where are we? What are we doing? How do I put
What's
this?
the readiness level?
Yeah, just putting that in context. Yeah.
Well, and creating an environment, which is something you're doing in your influence program. Creating an environment where people can be honest about their readiness level. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you need help, it's okay to say you need help. If you need direction, you need direction. You need coaching, you need coaching. You need support, you need support. And you can do it on your own, you can do it on your own. It's okay to do that. It's okay for somebody to say, Red, I need help.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how to do it. That's okay. Well, that's a real breakthrough.
Yeah.
One of the worst things a leader can say, I learned this from Alan, is, I'm sure you've heard this, don't come to me with a problem, don't come to me unless you have a solution. Well, that's nice. Let's say you have a problem and you don't have a solution. Now I shout at you and say, don't come to me.
Yeah.
So you know what you learn? Okay.
Right.
I won't come to you.
It'll just keep...
I'll hide it.
Yeah.
Why? You told me not to come to you.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I'm following direction, right? You're giving me style one, and I'm complying.
I'm not coming to you at all. In fact, the next time you ask, do you have a problem? No.
Yeah.
Well, what was happening before? No one had a problem. Yeah. Although they were losing $17 billion, nobody had a problem.
Yeah.
Why? Well, obviously they've been trained not to say they have problems.
Yeah.
Well, you train people to say they have no problems, they all say green.
Yeah.
The problem is, that's not life.
Yeah.
Life is never all green.
Far from it. And again, probably has something to do with the reason we're here together today, but it's like the portions of the organization that we interact with on a day-to-day basis are drastically different. Similar principles are at play.
Yes.
But when you're talking to training departments and you're positioning situational leadership as a program that can help new managers or second-level managers effectively influence, the single biggest obstacle you hear in many cases is top-level support. That's what's going to turn it from a program into a change initiative.
Right.
So it hits me that what Alan did is really there was the language of situational leadership that was permeated the C-suite, and it just makes it that much easier to reinforce. You're going through a program, you're going to learn some skills, and these are life skills.
Well, they are. And again, the key is that that philosophy is you are who you are. It is what it is. Don't hide from it. And it's okay.
Yeah.
The big breakthrough, it's okay. It's okay to need help. It's okay not to be perfect. It is what it is. And his whole focus is not on looking good. See, so much in corporate life is people try to look good. So they end up with pretense.
Yeah.
Pretending to be who they're not, to look good. Well, his theory is we're here to make cars and sell cars, not to individually show off or look good ourselves. Who cares how we look if we're going broke?
Yeah.
Right? This is not good. This is bad.
Yeah.
And how do we turn this around? Well, the way you turn around is you focus on the mission. You focus on what are we really here for. And we're not really here to show off and prove how smart we are. We're here to do great work. Just let's do whatever it takes to do great work, and who cares how somebody, quote, looks. And what he taught them is, once you do great work, you don't have to pretend to look good. Everybody thinks you are good. Yeah. Nobody's going to complain. The stock goes from $1 to $18.40. Nobody's doing a critique then. It all is good. It's all good. Then you don't have to show off.
Yeah, I read his book and heard a lot about him, read a lot about him. But was Alan always this good?
No, he would tell you. He got off to a very rocky start. He had a young man work for him, and in excessive leadership style 1, he said something like, I may have the number wrong, 14 drafts this guy sent him. He corrected over and over again. Finally, the guy just said, I've got to quit. He said,
no mas.
You're a nice young man, but you're driving me crazy here. And really, I'm not sure this is what you're supposed to do. And the guy kind of explained what he's supposed to do. Oh, okay. So no, he was not always a great leader. He wasn't born with this, you know. Yeah, the idea that leaders are born. Somehow you hop out of the womb with all these leadership skills. That seems a little ridiculous. Yeah, a little ridiculous. People can learn things. Yeah.
It hits me that the process of becoming a situational leader, it's iterative. It really is. It's about, okay, this didn't go the way I wanted it to go. And the parameters we always use is success, is job get done, scale of 1 to 10, effectiveness.
Right.
More of the engagement piece of it, scale of 1 to 10, and those two dimensions are always in play. But it's like people that are serious about becoming good leaders really learn from that didn't go the way I wanted it to go. What did I learn? How do I adjust? How do I put it in the context, for lack of a better term, of a model or just what I want to do differently moving forward? Yeah.